Hello everyone. In this video I want to show you some advanced surface commands that might be useful to you if you want to take CSWPA for surface or CSWE. So those commands might be useful to you. One of them is delete surface here. Okay, and this is very useful if you want to modify a part that is given to you like a DOM solid here. So you see this is a step file, and you don't have basically the sketch for this, so you can basically rotate it or modify the sketch. This is a DOM solid and you need to modify that. So one of the things you can do is come to the surface and use delete surface, and right now it's a solid object, but look what happens when I delete this surface. Look, and I'm not going to delete or patch or delete and fill because you just want to get rid of it. So you just say delete and look. Now it becomes a couple of surfaces. Look here. This is a surface hollow and this is a hollow. You see? There is no solid body, but now you have two surface parts. Okay, and now I can use that to edit my object. Like what? So now I have to bring this guy up, right? And this angle, you can measure it with respect to the horizontal axis. But for simplicity, let's say we know that angle, although we can measure it, it's no big deal. We can just draw an axis for this and measure. This angle is 50 degrees. We just want to rotate it 40 degrees and make it 90 degrees, right? So here, we need to now move this guy. And that command is not in the surface toolbar. It's under another tab called direct editing. So you go to direct editing, and in direct editing, there are some interesting commands here. One of them is, of course, delete face, the same as we had delete body and so on. And then we have move body, and then we have move face. Okay, so here we go with move face, and then we pick this one, and this one. And we want to rotate them. So now we have to have an axis for rotation, and the axis here should be the axis at the center of this semicircle. So I don't have that axis right now to select it. So before I do this, I need to create that. So I go here and I create the line, I create the axis so I can use it for rotation, okay? So that should be this guy, right? And now let's go and repeat the process. So click here, and then we go with this, and this. We say we want to rotate it about this axis. And here, look, you see, now I go for 40 degrees to make it completely upright. There we go. There we go. Look here. I could bring this guy up. Okay, now I need to make that surface back. I need to bring that surface that I deleted back. And you might say, hey, do you want to get rid of this now? If I do that or suppress it, look, you're going to get an error. Okay, you're going to get an error because now your sketch is what? Your sketch has some problems. Okay, it has dimensions that are not specified anymore. So you might need to go back and check right here. You see here, I have a point. I can delete that. I assume this would take care of it, right? So now I have that thing back, and I don't need the sketch, so I can hide it. So now, can I get this back to a solid object? No, or yes. Look, right now it seems like it is a solid object. Let's take a look. Let's cut this guy. And if you look, you see, here we go. It's a solid object. As simple as that. Okay, so as simple as that, I can undo that delete face. And look now, I made the object completely solid. Another way that some people do it, and I have seen it in their video, here I did a couple of Control-Z, got back to where I was. They create a surface here between this curve and this curve, and then they trim the surfaces, and then they knit it and make it a solid object. So let me show you that one as well. So, but you see, I could have easily done it without a lot of extra steps. But if you want, one of the things you can do is to go to a boundary surface or to a fill surface, and then choose this one and this one, and then this guy and this, you see? So you get that surface back, and you OK it. Now, still, you have some problems here. Look, that's here. If I OK that, you see, there is a surface between the handle and the bottom portion. So this is not one single connected surface. You have two separate surfaces. And because of this portion that you have, you cannot convert it to a solid object. And you cannot even knit it. So what you need to do is you have to trim it first. So you can go to the trim command here, and then you say I want a mutual trim, and then you select this one and this one. Then you say I want to remove some selection, and then you try to remove the delete part, the filled part, the part that filled, and there we go. You see, now there is nothing between them. So now it's one solid surface. So now if you go ahead and grab all these three and knit them together, then say make a solid out of everything. There we go. You see, now you got your solid part. Okay, so that's another way that some people do it, but I just wanted to show you the power of deleting a face. When you delete a face out of a solid object, it will convert it into a bunch of surfaces, and now you can do lots of things to the surfaces. Okay, you can trim them, you can do direct editing, you can move them around, and you can do lots of manipulations. So this was what? This was a surface delete. Another command is surface replace. So here, let's say you have this object, and then they ask you to modify this top surface of this object, right? So for example, when you look at it from the side, instead of looking flat like this, it goes something like a basically like a sine wave or something. Okay, can you do that? Yes, of course. So one way is to create a surface and then let this extension, instead of going at a blind of 3 inches, extend until the surface. The other one is replace surface, okay, which can do that. So let's say here, for instance, I go to this front plane and I create a wavy surface, something like this. Okay, and then I go and extrude it in both directions. Right, so now I can go back. Now, of course, you have to move the surface behind, above this extrude, so you can say extrude until surface. If this is below it, you cannot do it. Look here. If I want to say, hey, now instead of blind, say up to surface, it says what surface? Why? Because the surface was made afterwards. Okay, so you have to move this guy up. Or, as I said, you can use this command called replace face, and this is an interesting command. So here I say I want to replace this with this one. Look, it doesn't get rid of the surface is still there, but look what happened to the object. You see here, right? Let me show you back this so you can see it from the side view. You see, the extrusion is extended until what? Until the surface. So that is called replace surface. Another powerful command that might be interesting to you is this rule surface. So let's say here I select this edge and then I go to rule surface, and you see here I can create surfaces that are tangent to this surface. Look, you see here, or I can make them perpendicular, normal to the surface, or I can do taper to a vector. So I say I want taper to a vector. It says in which direction, and I say here in this direction. It says what angle? 30 degrees, 40 degrees, whatever you want, right? You see? I can even reverse it like that. Okay, I can make it perpendicular to the vector, which is not going to be super nice in this case, right? It doesn't have really too much of a meaning. I can even have it sweep. If I have a direction, if I have a separate sketch, I can have it sweep along this edge. Okay, so you see this rule surface is a very powerful command. Another command is this planar surface here. So if, let's say here, you want to fill this hole, so I can select this and say, give me a planar surface, right? And you see it fills it with a flat surface. And you might say, well, fill does the same thing. Yes, but fill has more powerful options than the planar. Planar just creates a flat surface. That's all it does. But fill has more options. Let's go back and check it. So if I select this again and go with fill, if I say contact, then it probably gives me something similar to the planar, you can see, but it has more options. One of them is I want tangency. Okay, now whether it can do it or not, that's a separate story. Okay, so here it tries to keep the new surface tangent to the old surface at the designated edge. Look here. So you see here it keeps the tangency and well, kind of really restored a hemisphere for you. Or in this case, it's better to use what? It's better to use a curvature actually. So I want the curvature, okay? And here it tries to match the curvature for you. You see, so it gives us more options and it's not just necessarily just making it a flat surface. Okay, so we have seen rule surface, we have seen planar surface, more options for fill, and we also have seen what under direct editing, move face, and of course delete face. Another command we have is called boundary surface, okay, and this is kind of like a multi-section, but it has more controls. Let me show you that. So here I have two circles that are not on the same plane, and I can use a multi-section, and I can go here and connect them together, right? And to make it more complicated, I need to create guide curves, right? But so I need extra sketches. But look here, with this boundary surface, it gives you something similar to the loft, so you can select the main profiles, right? And initially it gives you something similar to the multi-section, but now it allows you for each one of these sketches to select some options. For example, you can click on sketch 1, and then you can select the direction of the surface out of sketch 1 to be along a specific vector or to be normal to the profile. Look here, if I make it normal to the profile, you see? Yeah, you see from the side, now it made this direction of extension normal to the profile in the beginning. And I can go to sketch number 2 and again choose something. Again, I can say I want it in the specific direction vector or again normal to profile. Look here. So here. You see that? So I made this guy normal to the profile too. Okay, I guess this one I need to go back to normal to profile. Look at that. So if you want to create this with the multi-section, you need a bunch of sketches, at least 2 of that for sure on the sides to make it happen. But here you can easily what? You can easily do that. And this is just in direction 1. You can also go to direction 2 and have basically other profiles, right? And continue and make it even more complicated. And then you can show the curvature display. You can show zebra stripes and a bunch of other things that are a little bit more advanced, but it gives you a lot of options for creating basically a nice advanced surface like that. Okay, and the last command I want to show you is this delete hole. So if you have a hole in a surface, instead of creating the surface, if you want to get rid of that hole, right, instead of trying to fill it or redo the surface or anything, you can simply delete the hole. if it's made by a hole. So you can click here and then choose this and look, done. As simple as that. You can get rid of the hole. You don't even need to fill it. Again, as long as it's done by here, you see I use the trim command, and I got rid of that portion of the surface inside the ellipse, created a hole. So this delete hole can basically do that. The same thing can be done if it's trimmed. You can untrim it. Okay, so the untrim also undo the trim for you. Like here, I go here and I select this, and look here, I can untrim it. So these are some useful commands that I wanted to show you, and hopefully it was useful to you. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.